Well, last night was the final showdown for Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer. Did you watch it? The last head-to-head before the election. It was a very heated debate. The two clashed on tax, gender and borders. Well, joining us to discuss this, as well as Labour's plans for education funding, is Shadow Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson. So, what did you make of Sir Keir Starmer's performance last night? Were you disappointed, given the gap in the polls, that actually the snap poll afterwards only had them at 50-50?
No, I thought Keir set out the difference that a Labour government could bring if people go out and vote for that change on the 4th of July, in contrast to Rishi Sunak, who I felt had nothing positive to offer by way of direction.
However, those polled that were there put them at equal. Were you disappointed that that was the case?
No, because we know that there are lots of people right across our country who haven't made their minds up about how they're going to vote on the 4th of July. And that's why we're fighting hard every day for every single vote to persuade people to go out and vote for the change that they want. You know, people, I would caution against looking too much at the polls overall to your viewers, because there are big differences between them. And if people want change, then they need to go out and vote for it. Otherwise, the risk is they wake up on the 5th of July to another 5 more years of the Conservatives and all the chaos and division that we've seen in recent times, or our country can turn the page and get a bright future.
So you're clear, but the point where Sir Keir Starmer seemed to struggle, and even, you know, Baroness Aisha Hazarika, as you know, speaks out strongly for Labour, felt that this was his most challenging part, was being able to define what specifically they were going to do about borders and illegal immigration. Despite being asked 9 times by the Prime Minister what he would do with illegal immigrants, he never quite answered it. What is the position? What is Labour going to do?
So if Labour form the next government, we'll create the Border Security Command to tackle at source the criminal smuggling gangs who exploit human misery. We'll clear the backlog of cases.
How is that going to be done? That was the point. How is it going to be done? Because I think Sir Keir Starmer was trying to say that they would go out and have negotiations, and Rishi Sunak, as we just saw in that clip there, for those who didn't watch the debate, said, what are you talking about? You can't go and have conversations with the Taliban. You can't go and have conversations with the leaders from Iran. So what does he mean?
So what Keir Starmer has set out are Labour's plans to deliver a border security command. What that involves specifically is 1,000 extra cross-border officers working in countries such as within France with the French to smash the gangs at source, you know, approaching it as a national security issue. Keir was formerly the chief prosecutor for our country, was involved in taking down terrorist gangs in terms of how we crack those.
That's got nothing. Sorry to interrupt you, but because I don't want you inadvertently perhaps to mislead the public. That's got nothing to do with illegal immigration or illegal migration. The point is, what is the policy? Once people arrive here, and you know there's already a border force, you're going to put more money into it. How do you speed removing people who shouldn't be here? That's what people across the country are concerned about, because they take resources and people are worried about it and they want to be able to have that conversation without being accused of being racist, for instance.
So what is new and what isn't happening at the moment is that we don't have the powers available to us. We will bring in new legislation to smash the gangs, a new border security command with additional powers to work at...
So you're going to smash the gangs. Let's park that for a minute. If people do come through, if there's a bit of the gang that you don't smash straight away, what are you going to do with people?
So we will smash the gangs, we will stop people making that perilous crossing, and we will approach this as a national security issue with a new border security command. Alongside that, it is completely unacceptable that we have such a huge backlog of cases in our country. That is the Conservatives' record on asylum and immigration, and it's why we are spending millions of pounds every single day on unsuitable hotel accommodation, because the cases are not being processed. So there'll be new caseworkers, more caseworkers, clearing that backlog and getting on top of the cases. The proposal that the Prime Minister has set out around Rwanda just isn't a plan, it is a gimmick, and he knows it, and it's why he called the election before he got any flights off the ground, because he knows that that is about the 1% of cases. What happens the other 99%? That's why we've got to smash the gangs, we've got to process cases, and we've got to secure our borders, something the Conservatives have failed to do.
What are the top 5 nationalities, would you say, for claiming asylum in the UK? Where do they come from? Do you know?
I don't have that information in front of me. I can hazard a guess, but I wouldn't like to just guess around it.
In terms of hazarding a guess, Keir Starmer, when asked, where people should be removed back to, said, for example, Bangladesh. They don't even make the top 5. Do you think he's got a problem with the Bangladeshi community? Why did he single those people out? I mean, not least, a member of your own party has made clear that was nothing more, Asbana Begum, a dog whistle racism against Bangladeshis. I mean, if he doesn't know the top 5 countries where people are claiming asylum from, how can this be a serious policy to remove people back from places where, frankly, they shouldn't have arrived from in the first place?
So what we want to see a return to is a functioning asylum and immigration system where when people come to this country, their cases are processed, they're interviewed, their cases are dealt with.
Interrupt you, but you have made that point really well. Can I ask you specifically about Sir Keir Starmer referencing the Bangladeshi community? Does he have a particular problem with the community? Do you know why he mentioned them? What was the reference? Because it's caused offence in your party. So can you clear up for us what that was about?
The point is that there are a number of countries where it is safe to return people to. That applies also, for example, in the case of Albania, where a recent returns agreement, I think, demonstrates what can be done if you're serious about making sure that you have return agreements in place, and that's what Labour would seek to do. But it is important.
Have you had the opportunity to ask your leader why he referenced the Bangladeshi community particularly? Because your answers make me feel like you don't know.
It's one of a number of safe countries where people can be returned to. And what we want to see are cases processed, people being interviewed, where they have a right to be in this.
So why did he pick on that one? You seem to not understand why people have got upset, because he referenced that community as one, go back, and without the context, which unfortunately you're not providing for us, you can see why it would cause offence to pick on that community at such a sensitive time. Can you explain to people why he did, why he picked on that one?
That is one of a number of safe countries where we can return.
Why did he pick on that one of the number of safe countries? I'm really trying to help you to explain. Do you not know?
The answer is, it is one of a number of safe countries where if people have had their cases considered, and too few people at the moment have their cases considered in a timely manner, then it often will be safe to return people to countries such as that. There will be other cases, other examples, where it is not safe to return people to their country of origin. So take, for example, those Afghan nationals who worked with us in Afghanistan as interpreters. You know, that many have come to our country recently having served our armed forces and would be at risk if they were to return to Afghanistan. There are differences, there are complexities.
Can we tackle one before, because I know you're very busy and we don't want to keep your time, but you have made that point very clearly. One of the things in the debate which seemed to cause Sir Keir Starmer to come unstuck was when he tried to criticise the Prime Minister for supporting Liz Truss. It was immediately pointed out and got a round of applause that, of course, he'd backed Jeremy Corbyn, and this is something that's dogged the campaign. Why are those two things different? Why should he point out that Rishi Sunak backed Liz Truss and yet not be comfortable about backing Jeremy Corbyn? What are the two things that are different in that?
Because Rishi Sunak is weak and hasn't acted against Liz Truss, who was a candidate at the general election for the Conservatives. Unlike Jeremy Corbyn, who is not a Labour candidate and is not a Labour member, he has been expelled.
I'm talking about the previous thing, and I think you know that, but if you can't tell me the difference.
I'm setting out the difference in terms of action that is being taken. Keir Starmer has turned the Labour Party around and put it back in the service of working people. Unlike Rishi Sunak, whose unfunded commitments within his manifesto risk crashing the economy, just like they did the last time under Liz Truss. And your viewers will know that they are paying more every month on their rent or their mortgages because of the scandalous and cavalier approach that the Conservatives took on the economy, and they have learnt nothing from that, absolutely nothing.
Okay.
And that was clear last night. And that's why we take our responsibilities around the public finances seriously, and that your viewers will see that in our manifesto, everything's fully funded, it's fully costed, it's got a plan behind it, unlike the Conservatives.
Well, we hear you. We have to let you go. Thank you for your time. Do you expect to be Secretary of State after the 4th of July? And have you put a bet on it?
I'm not a gambler, and I've only ever gambled a few times in my life, and I certainly haven't been gambling more recently on political events. Well,